Hi, recruiters around the world. My name's Ayub Sheikh, and I've decided to take snippets of my slides from the courses that I deliver on site in person and really condense them down into cheat sheets because I think these will be helpful for you as IT recruiters just to sound more credible and confident when you're speaking to either candidates in interviews or face-to-face in business client-facing business meetings. The narration is all the way through, so I'll hopefully just give you some background narration to the slides. Shouldn't take too long to go through these, and hopefully they'll be of use to you. If you need to keep them in a different format, I've also arranged for a PDF of these slides to be available so that you can download them onto your mobile phone or onto your PC for ongoing referral and reference. Hope that helps. So let's firstly take a quick look at Java. This was invented by a chap called James Gosling within the Sun Microsystems organization, and it was really a profound advancement in terms of the way languages would operate in the future. The key thing about Java was that it would be one of the first languages that would truly be write once, run anywhere. So it would overcome the whole issue of having to develop applications time and time again. And so when it came out in 1995 commercially, it was really a leap forward in development whereby programmers would only need to develop their applications once in Java. And the great thing about it was that it could be downloaded onto any platform. And this, of course, is hugely beneficial, especially in terms of companies using a whole range of platforms from Unix to Windows. It's highly object-oriented, which really just means that it's got components that you can reuse time and time again. The great thing even today for Java is that it is great for low latency applications, and I'll explain that in just a second. It also offers multi-threading and concurrency, which are technical terms, but essentially I won't explain them here. They literally, the inference is that they would impact the application in making it much more smoother, more efficient, and able to run more efficiently. So what is this term low latency? It's very much associated with Java, but it is a huge deal, especially in certain sectors. We're thinking about the financial sectors, currency trading, general trading in a stock exchange, and essentially what it means is the time it takes from sending a signal from one part of the network to another. Of course, the more low latency the system, the better. So low latency implies speed. If your clients are companies like William Hill, so online gambling, eBay, so online auctions, or any of the large banks, the global banks, then low latency becomes a big issue. And Java is brilliant for low latency environments. That's one of its key characteristics in the way it operates. Not much more for us to understand as a recruiter, but it's really important that you understand that Java is good for low latency environments, and it's probably good to throw this into the mix when you're speaking to clients. The application they may have may not be low latency, but it will be great for them to know that you're aware of this. And here are, of course, those three Java versions that you will come across on CVs. Most of you, of course, will only deal with Java Enterprise Edition because this is the one that is relevant to most large organizations. Most of your large clients out there, if you're an IT recruiter in any major environment, they are multi-server enterprise environments. And so Java, the big version, the Java AEE, is the one that most of these people will use. SE stands for Standard Edition, and in smaller environments you will have Micro Edition. When I say smaller, it means the actual programming environment. So things like mobile chips, tiny environments such as set-top boxes, where they don't have, as a programmer, the luxury of large hard drives and storage. they will have to code in a very different way. And so the program itself has a tiny footprint. So Java ME is used there. But I'm not going to go through all of these. Here are a list of the different versions and the benefits of each for you. So let's move on to the mighty Microsoft.NET. And of course, half the planet is using this. It is incredibly popular. There's a number of reasons why it may be popular. It was initially brought out as a contender against the mighty Java. But as you can see, C# borrows much of its syntax from the Java language, which itself is based on C and C++. So syntactically, they're actually very similar. It implies that programmers who have had an experience in the past with C and C++ will transition very readily to either Java or C#. So what is .NET? Well, the first thing is, of course, not to think of it as a language. C# is the key language within .NET, but .NET is essentially a toolkit, a toolbox, if you want, which has a number of key elements within there which allow developers to create applications very quickly, very efficiently. And so people love .NET, for its simplicity in terms of the components that you can use, but also in terms of the complexity levels that you can rise to if you get very good at all of the .NET components. So always think of .NET as the framework, the toolkit within which there are other things. .NET is a range of development tools, a range of tools, not just for web-based applications, but indeed there are some great tools in there for web-based applications. And the whole idea of .NET from the very beginning was to create applications that would transition very readily onto the internet, and hence the name. So what are the key components of .NET? Within this toolkit, you have something that emulates the same thing that Java does. So in Java, there is a thing called the Java Virtual Machine that allows it to have that nirvana of platform independence. Well, in .NET, they do the same thing with the CLR, Common Language Runtime. If a job spec has CLR as a key element of it, it pretty much means that they want to make .NET applications run over many platforms. That's a good thing to note. Other components, the key one is C#, and VB.NET is in there as well for creating beautiful front ends, ASP.NET for creating wonderful web-based environments, and it can support a whole range of other languages as well. And here's a quick breakdown if you were to look at an application in terms of the 3 layers. So as we teach in our training courses, every application can be envisaged as having a front end, a middle bit, which is the business logic, often referred to as the back end. This is the clever thinking part. And then, of course, the data layer where all of the data is stored momentarily, or in the case of a database, on a more permanent basis. So within .NET, the elements for the front end are VB.NET, and Visual C# can be used here as well. For developing the business logic, C# is where that comes in, and at the back end, very often Microsoft will push the SQL Server database to handle large amounts of data, and ADO.NET is there for the data transactions within the back end as well. Here's a nice neat table in terms of a cheat sheet for you to quickly understand what each of those components within the .NET environment actually do. This is a lovely table. It actually gives you a quick understanding of the differences between Java and C#, and which terms to look out for. So in terms of operating systems, primarily they should both, in theory, work on multiple operating systems. Middleware, there are two examples that I've given there. So one is Enterprise Java, Beans for Java. BizTalk can be thought of as the middleware for the .NET environment from Microsoft. There are a whole load of other things in there which I'm not going to go through, but great to have as a cheat sheet there for a quick glance. GUI components is worth noting that on the Java side of things, if someone asks you for Swing developer or a developer in JSwing, then it's someone who's looking after the front end or graphical user interface. And if they're saying we now need a VB.NET developer, it means that they've mainly made and developed the application. They're probably now just putting a nice front end to it. And finally, here's a lovely table just to summarize the differences between the two and why your people may ultimately choose one or the other. If it's a rich GUI environment that they are after, heavily Windows oriented, then of course .NET is the one you would opt for. If, however, you're not really concerned as a client with the prettiness of an interface, and it really is the speed and robustness at which it can actually operate within a low latency environment, then there's no doubt about it, Java would be the one you would opt for. Of course, in most organizations, it is the existing tech in place that is going to dictate which languages you go for, and your technical architect will have a leaning towards Microsoft or not Microsoft, and they will make a decision as to which language they will bring into place. So that always is a significant factor. The jury's out on this, but generally most people think of Java as more open source and therefore really much more open in terms of the operating systems and multi-platform capabilities. If you are going for .NET, then it probably isn't high on your agenda in terms of the portability across to other platforms. Your primary operating system will be .NET, and therefore Microsoft, and therefore .NET will be the one that you need to use. They're both great for large-scale enterprise deployment as well as SMEs, but generally if your clients are global corporate players, then now .NET and Java are on a par with each other. It could be argued that .NET decreases development processing time because of the number of reusable components within there and the simplicity of its libraries. But of course, Java has a whole load of other libraries as well and is compatible with other languages such as Scala and Python and Ruby. And so therefore, you can chop and change within the libraries. Testing tools exist for both of them, and as I just mentioned, if you are a multi-language environment and multi-technology environment within the organization, then a client will probably go for a language that can choose to speak with other third-party, completely unlinked languages, and therefore Java will give you much more of an option there. That's it for now. I hope you've enjoyed it. That was a quick run through Java versus .NET. These were clippings from the slides we use on our software development masterclass event. If you're interested in that, just visit our website holistica.co.uk. Give us a call and send us an email. No problem there at all. I'll be happy to discuss that with you in the future. Hope you've enjoyed it. Look out for some more. Speak to you soon.